The Boonies. Hidden history in the fields.
People often say, there's nothing in the countryside. They mean, there are no stores, no shopping malls, no schools, and no hospitals. When they see no buildings around, they call it nothing. It wasn't until I got older that I began to feel uneasy about this phrase. That was when I finally understood what opening up new fields really meant. On YouTube, you can find videos of people clearing wild land in America. Huge machines crush trees and pull out stumps by the roots. The work is fast, powerful, and amazing. Watching those machines, you can't help thinking, wow, America is incredible. Now, let's go back to Japan in 1800s. Flat land near water, easy places to make rice fields, was already controlled by rich and powerful people. Most ordinary farmers had to rent land from them. To survive and gain freedom, poorer farmers took on the hardest job: building new rice fields, called shinden, in steep, rough areas. They looked up at wild hills and knew terrible challenges were waiting. First, they had to cut down the forest. Picture a thick forest, where you can hardly see through, even only 50 meters ahead. The trees had deep, strong roots. Back then, there were no machines. Cutting trees and pulling out stumps had to be done by hand, with simple tools, often fragile and easily broken. Even after the trees were gone, the hardest work was still ahead. Rice cultivation requires a shallow pool of water, here and there. You have to hold water on a slope. To do that, the land must be completely flat. These farmers leveled hills by hand, digging soil from the higher side and carrying it to the lower side. The logic is simple, but it was much more than moving dirt. They actually had to remove every rock and stone to make suitable soil that could hold water and grow rice well. Then they had to get water by asking permission to draw it from rivers, already controlled by others. It was a lengthy, painful process. Many got hurt, and some even lost their lives. People argued and shouted, and when mistakes in planning were found, everything had to start again. What was worse, during those times, young men were called to military service because of the new conscription system, which made life even harder. This is how much of Japan's farmland was made. The struggles of those who came before us are remembered on stone monuments across the country. There are hundreds of places in Japan with shinden, new rice field, in their name. The people who built them are gone, and no one is left to tell their stories anymore. All you hear are the soothing sounds of nature. That's why I can't stay calm when I see terraced rice fields. In such places as Oba-su-te, in Nagano City, Japan. When I see the moon reflected in each small field, I wonder how deeply it must have moved the people who made it. This peaceful beauty came from their sweat, pain, and sometimes their very lives. To me, it's impossible to look at it and say, there is nothing.